Thank you. Senator Paul.
I wholeheartedly support the public and official ending of the Iraq War. Many of us thought the war was a mistake to begin with. Large percentages of the public now, in retrospect, think the war was a mistake. Even if you poll our veterans who have fought in the war, the vast majority of our veterans actually think it was a mistake. So publicly ending the Iraq War, which has been over for a decade, is a great idea and shouldn't be controversial. But people who want to keep it in place have to realize that this vote will be similar to the vote in 2002. The vote in 2002 allowed 100,000 troops or more to be in Iraq. It allowed 2,000 of our soldiers to die. It allowed 20,000 people to be wounded. It allowed over 1,000 young men and women to lose their arms and legs. That's what you're voting for now. If you leave this in place, any president could do the same thing they did in 2002. That's what you're voting for. Wouldn't you want to vote again? People say we might not vote for it. That would be good if we didn't vote for another Iraq war. But if there is another need for a war, come and vote. When we have been attacked, we have voted overwhelmingly. When we were attacked on 9/11, we overwhelmingly voted. Iraq was a different story, and still people have debates over whether it was a good idea to this day. But leaving it on the books, if you vote to leave it on the books, you're voting to allow a president to send as much as hundreds of thousands of troops in. Now, there's this debate over what you can do under Article 2 authority. I personally think it'd be much more narrow than any recent president has interpreted it to be. But every president has interpreted it to be wide open, and the only way we stop them, the only way we can possibly stop them is by defunding something they do, and we're unlikely to do that. But I don't think any president believes they can take 100,000 troops into Iraq or into any country without an authorization of force. So getting rid of this gets rid of the possibility of a big war by any president, I think. I don't think any president would attempt to do that without this in place. So we get rid of the possibility of a big war. That's what we're voting against. All the little things, not always little, but all of the military actions that presidents take, they will continue to take without any authorization. With regard to 2001, there is a danger, and this is where I disagree with many who want to replace it. Absolutely, we should repeal it. People say, oh, we want to make it more narrow. It's extremely narrow. It authorized us to go after those who planned, authorized, committed, and aided the terrorist attacks on one day, September 11th. It's been interpreted to be associated forces, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. There's no one left alive that has anything to do with 9/11. So it is very narrow. It doesn't apply to anything we're doing around the world as we speak, but it has been overly broad and overly broadly interpreted. So we should repeal it also. We shouldn't have 1,000 troops in Mali. We shouldn't have 1,000 troops in Somalia. We shouldn't be in 14 different countries. But if we replace it, all of the replacements of 2001 authorization have been still broad enough to be interpreted to include all the places we're involved with. Dozens of wars could be fought with most of the replacement bills. So I'd say repeal them all. War is supposed to be something that's difficult to get involved with. Come before us. We just give up our power by having any AUMF on the books. They all should be repealed. And if people want to go to war, which is a terrible thing, come and vote. When we've been attacked, we will vote to go to war. But we're reluctant to, and good. That should be a good thing that we shouldn't. Is it likely we'd vote to go to war in Mali or Somalia tomorrow? We'd probably vote against it, and that would be a good thing. That's also why we shouldn't be there now. But I caution those who want to replace it that replacing 2001, most of the efforts, while well-intended, I think were as broad or broader than the actual language. The language is actually very narrow in 2001, but has been overly interpreted. So I think it's important that the American people know that this is a vote about a war that's long been over, but a vote to keep this is really a vote to allow something as big as the Iraq War was at its maximum. That's what this is about. If you want that kind of power on the books and you don't want to vote again, you know, if a brand new threat comes up, you don't want to have the power to determine for your constituents whether we go to war or not, that is giving up a huge amount of power that our founding fathers thought should always be vested in Congress. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank the senator. I've asked Senator Coons, who is next, to question, also to preside for a few minutes. Senator Coons.